There's a very basic thing that we haven't tried yet with type, and that is simply to apply stroke on a text object. And there is a reason why I didn't show you that yet, because it's a little bit tricky, and there is something that can be very frustrating if you don't know how to work around it. So let's see if I just simply apply a stroke on here, choosing maybe black outline, and I increase the stroke size. Let's say I want to have a very thick outline around the text. Now, even though I have a bold, bulky font, it still looks strange when I increase the point size. Maybe let's just keep it around 6 points. It's already not looking nice. And the reason for that is because the stroke is actually centered on the characters. So the black outline is seeping into the actual font itself, and that is messing up the original outlines of each of these characters. So it's making it harder to read, but also in general it doesn't really look good. So almost always what I would like to do is to have the stroke set outside and not centered or inside the text. So how can we fix that? Well, what I would normally do is to go to the stroke panel and then change the alignment. So we would expect that to happen here as well, but for some reason it doesn't allow me to change the align stroke to center, so I can't select inside or outside. Why is that? So it's not really self-explanatory, and there's not really a clear explanation why, but what you need to do is the following. Instead of applying the stroke from up here, I would recommend to do it in a different way. So I'm going to actually set this back to none. Remember our good friend, the appearance panel. So that's the key here. That's where we need to go. And notice that I have two different colors in this text object. So we have red on create and orange on outlines. That's again something that we will have to sacrifice for the greater good, to be able to add the stroke behind these characters. So what you need is to go to the appearance panel and first click on add new fill. Notice that if I click on add new stroke, nothing happens, but when I click on add new fill, it's going to add a fill. Now we can change this maybe to red, and then here we have the stroke option, which I can change to black, and of course we can increase the size like before, maybe set to 6 points. Now so far we haven't actually achieved anything better. We even lost the original orange color, but because this is the key moment here, once you have the stroke applied, you can select that stroke attribute and drag it underneath the characters. Once you let go, you will see what happened is that now we only see the outline or stroke behind the fill. So if I increase the size, it will never mess up the original outline of the text, so the characteristics of the font will never change. And the good thing is that we can actually add multiple strokes. So once we have one, we can add another one again. And I'm just going to change its color to orange maybe, and drag it again underneath the characters. And there I am going to increase again the black, just so now we will have both black and orange. Or maybe we can have it the other way around, just to have a bit more contrast. So I will have the black one maybe set to 20 points, and then the orange will be even behind all of these, and I will set that to 40 points. And you could keep adding strokes and outlines around your text without ever having to worry about overlapping and distorting the outlines by having the stroke set to center or inside. So essentially what happens here is that the fill of these characters will always be on top of the stroke attributes. So that is definitely a very useful feature, and because we are working with the appearance panel, we can always delete or just hide certain strokes or attributes that we don't need anymore. But here comes the other important feature, and that's actually the main reason I wanted to talk about outlines. Because there is actually a feature from the type menu called Create Outlines. You might even want to learn the shortcut, that's Command-Shift or Control-Shift-O. And by clicking on that, what will happen is that you essentially expand this text object, which means that it won't be editable anymore. So this is actually one of those rare features that will make you lose the editability of text. So why would we ever want to do that? Well, the advantage in doing this would be that now I can access each anchor point individually. So for example, if I have this text here, as you can see, once I turned it into outlines, it actually created a group for them. And within this group, I can select individual letters or individual anchor points. So for example, I can drag this text closer somewhere there, then zoom a bit in. And if I want, I can highlight these two anchor points and then drag them further down and connect the two words together. I'm sure you've seen these type of effects, which is a great technique for logo design, but you don't have to stop here. You can continue doing this and amend further details within your text. You can drag certain elements out, or you can even use the corner widgets. So for example, if you love the font but you want to make it more rounded, just select all the characters and use the corner widgets to add a bit of roundness on the outline. And don't forget, it's all about combination of tools after a certain point. So once you get familiar with Illustrator, that's what you really need to do and explore ways that you can combine the things that we talked about. Like if I select this letter E and I want to turn this more into like an arrow, the shape that I just dragged out, I can switch to the pen tool, add an anchor point on both sides and add another anchor point here. And then I'm going to just simply remove the existing anchor points from the corners. And immediately we manage to create a sharp tip or a blade here on the right side. So this could easily become a pencil. All I need to do is to add another shape on top of it. Using the pen tool again, I'm just going to draw on top of this and fill it in with black. So let me just change the fill color to black, like that. And then when we look at it, it starts to look more like a pencil. So don't forget, once you use the Create Outlines option, you won't be able to edit the text anymore and change it by typing something, but you will have the complete freedom to mess around with the anchor points as much as you want. So this is the way you can customize font and add some character to your typography, which is especially useful, as I mentioned, for logo design. In our next video, we will also look at another interesting technique, how to place images or illustrations inside your text.